Hello YouTube, and welcome to another pointless moto vlog by Fairfax Station, or maybe Sterling Moto. Starting with this clip here, because I just love how far it looks like I'm leaned over, even though I'm going, what's that, 40 whole miles an hour, and I look like I'm touching the ground almost. I love it. So this is a pre-Christmas celebration vlog. I'm just posting some clips from my previous 3 days of riding and go-karting, and we'll see, what I have to say. So I wanted to first talk about road strategies. This is something I think a lot of moto vloggers overlook. Where do you look on the road? What do you pay attention to? How do you position yourself? When do you cover the rear, or when do you cover the front brake? Things like that. And if you look at my previous clip here, you can see what kind of road strategies am I using? Blowing the yellow lights, going 60 miles an hour, going well over the speed limit. But at the same time, maybe I am using road strategies. Let's take a look at this clip. See, I'm giving this car a bit of a gap, looking well ahead, waiting. Now I start really going. Taking it easy, keeping my vision ahead of me. Everything is nice and controlled. So I might have been speeding, I might have been going faster than I should have, but at the same time, I'm not placing things out of my control as much as I can. Here's another one, just a few feet away. Come up around this Gulf, doing my thing. He goes super wide out of that turn, so I just keep it on the inside, give it a little gas. Looking ahead, checking my right, checking my left. Anything coming? Oh, what was that? How about we have a little more fun here? Take a look at this. Following this guy. What would you do? You're already doing about 80 in a 55. Fast car ahead in the left lane. He pulls out of the way, and there's tons of room. Nah. I get out of the way too. Keep a nice big gap. Don't go that fast. 80's fast enough for me. Well, what about this? Keeping my distance, let a huge gap form. Notice where I did that. I did it right after an exit. Those people weren't going to merge over, or were they? Is that a good or a bad decision? What do you think? Should I have waited until after the exit was completely over? I don't know. I think that kind of exemplifies my riding. Again, look here. Going over. See, I don't know. Either of those guys there, they could have decided at the last second that they wanted to merge over in my lane to exit onto the road I was exiting onto. So did I make the right decision? Was I thinking about this right? Whoa, we just jumped, didn't we? Everything's going super fast. What was that first clip about? And what are we doing here? It's a strange thing, right? Why am I at the go-kart track? This is a moto vlog. What am I doing here? Can you figure it out? Maybe I'm just hesitating too much to kill some time. Well, now that we're on the second clip, what I'm doing here is practicing my road strategies and my vision technique. The same thing you do driving around a tiny little electric go-kart inside a warehouse is the same thing you do when you're out on the road doing 90 plus miles an hour with cars around you. Where you go depends on where you look, what you're thinking about, and how you take action. You tell the motor motorcycle what to do at all times. Motorcycle, unless it breaks or has a serious mechanical issue, is not going to tell you what's going on. You're going to tell it what's going on. I just want you to notice a few things about that situation that just happened there. Whose fault was that? Imagine if that had happened in, not say a little go-kart, but on a motorcycle in a car. Say a car had spun out in front of me, and I went around on the inside of that car, and the car clipped me and took me out. It's a far-out scenario. But just imagine, again, this is training things. Maybe I'm not always making the right decisions. You can see me slamming into the wall right there. I'm a far from perfect rider or driver. I'm making tiny little mistakes all the time. So the question I have to ask myself is, why am I making these mistakes? What is causing this? What is causing the mistakes? And I think a few things come to mind. Well, just a few. The main one is concentration lapse. I'm not exactly sure how the human brain works, neither is anybody, but I do know that I can only focus on one thing at a time. If I try to focus on two things at a time, I can kind of split my attention, focus on one, focus on the other, then focus on one. Sometimes I can split these things very quickly. Maybe I can focus on 2 or 3 or 4 things in a second. But for me, it's like linear. 1, 2, 3, 4. You know, that kind of thing. So what does this have to do with motorcycle riding? Well, when you start thinking about anything other than the present and the immediate future, you stop thinking about your riding. If you're thinking about what you just did, you're not thinking about your riding. You could see me in this clip earlier, shaking my head, not in this clip, but in this video, shaking my head after I had made a mistake. That's the kind of thing you don't want to do. You can see me maybe placing the cart badly here and there. Jeez. You know what? You can see things. I want to talk about technique, but I mean, is this the time? I think I'm talking about myself here. How do I react to these scenarios? You know, these guys ahead of me are obviously not as fast as me, which is fine. They have every right to be on the track too, and I'm glad they're there. I'm glad they're here, having some fun, and maybe learning a couple things about controlling a vehicle. You know? But at the same time, you know, I'm here trying to get around. Oh, there we go. And I'm focusing. So, you know, I'm focusing on where the cart is, where the other cart is, where is he going, where am I going? And so now the more and more things that get introduced to this, say there's 2 carts ahead of me. Now I have to start thinking not about the cart right ahead of me, but the carts 2 ahead of me. Well, look at that. I had one guy ahead of me, and I made such a stupid decision. Oh, I can go to the outside, right? I can go to the outside. That was just not smart. Pass him there at my favorite spot, but you know, at the same time, I think they might have slowed all the carts down just for me there, going to the outside, and they would think I was going to get stuck. But thankfully, I backed out of it at the last second when I realized what an idiot I was being. So that's the third thing, leading back into what I was talking about before. So first we have lack of paying attention. And then, okay, this is the second thing. External influences, the other carts, right? You have to start focusing not just on your own driving or riding, but on the riding of or driving of those around you. Say you're in a group, you have to think about the guys around you. What are they doing? Say you're in traffic, you have to think, what are these cars going to do? So now we're back to biking suddenly again, right? Because I ran out of footage, what can I tell you? What does all this mean? Let's bring it back to the real world and talk about, you know, some of the dangers that we face as riders. So first off, I'm going in here, and the first thing I saw on the left was a police officer. Undercover cop just sitting there. That's a danger to me as a biker on this bike, because this bike doesn't exactly meet all the requirements it should. It's registered, it's got great insurance, but it doesn't have mirrors, obviously. That's not good. That's not allowed in the state of Virginia. It's got integrated turn signals that are not far enough apart, and it doesn't have an inspection because of those two things. And if a police officer were to stop me or look closely at me, you know, he could write me a ticket, and that's a danger to me. So the second thing, as we might have just seen right here, is all these driveways. Holy crap. Right, this is a 45-mile-an-hour road, and there's just driveways everywhere, especially around those turns. Like, you come around this turn and you start accelerating, boom, there's a driveway on your left, there's a driveway on your right. Multiple houses, you know, and it's blind. If a car decides to pull out, look at that intersection with the neighborhood back there, we're driving. So they're just absolutely everywhere. I'm not saying you have to be afraid, but at the same time, how can you feasibly outride your visibility on a road like this? Now we come up here, and okay, you can obviously, I mean, realistically, up until about this point, you can accelerate and you can do a good speed. Yeah, if a car pulls out there when you're accelerating, they pull out and they don't see you, you're going to have a really bad rest of your life. That's just the way it works. So as you can see, I'm going 40, 50 miles an hour this whole time. Taking it easy. It's a cold day, maybe, right now it's maybe 39 degrees outside, Fahrenheit. So 4 or 5 Celsius if you're listening outside the US. You can also see right there, the first real turn of this road, Hampton Road. I'm using only one side of the lane. I'm purposefully not using the whole road. The reason for that is that the center of the road tends to be where the debris is located. So if you're going faster than maybe you should, which I'm not, but if you are, and you run over this debris in the middle of the road, you might find yourself on the wrong side of the road with a car coming. Like right there. Debris right in the middle of the road. If I had ran over that, you know, I mean, I probably would not have, but there is a chance that I could have crashed, you know, my motorcycle. Now you'll see me break the rule here because I'm kind of going straight. If I run over some debris and I'm going straight, it probably won't be a huge deal. I'm not using a ton of throttle. You can see me slowing down a lot here. This turn has caught me out many times. You really just don't know. There could be debris in it after a night of rain. It's very cold. Just taking it easy, like I said. Being very cautious. There's no need to push yourself, to push your limits. You know, what do I have to prove to anybody by riding faster than I'm riding right now on you know, Hampton Road? A very obviously residential road with many great families living along it. You know, and I'm going to be the guy on a motorcycle to come in and tear things up and act this road's a racetrack. You know, I just think, as weird as it might sound, I just think, you know, the powers that be, in a sense, for keeping this road the way it is, for letting there be a strip of road around here where I live. It's actually pretty fun. And not destroying it. You know, all the people in this area have really done their part in a sense. My God, look at the debris there. They've really done their part to keep these roads in Clifton around the way they are. The Hampton Road's a great example. It's just way too much fun, as long as you don't push your limits. See here, always cars here, left turners, right turners, guys pulling out. You know, that's a place where someone's going to pull out on you. gotta be careful. I love that little left there, a little quick left. See, you can go so quick here. Like, it goes so fast on a 600. Like 90, 100 miles an hour. It doesn't seem that unrealistic. You know, you're doing 90 here. Brake, turn in, maybe coast just a tad. Brake. You know, you can act crazy. And rip it up here in like first gear because you need that torque coming up the hill. Like, you can do it. Even on a day like today. But at the same time, it feels rude. It feels like the wrong thing to do. You know, it's not right to ride fast on roads like this. Have some fun, and that's why I like restricting myself to one part of the lane for the most part. Because when you keep yourself at one part of the lane, you know, you're dividing by 3 the available space you have to work with. And that means your cornering speeds go down, your exit speeds go down. The ability to just go straight and coast and take it easy goes down. Everything changes. It becomes much more difficult to keep your speed up while you're dividing the lane usage in 3. I think it's a lot of fun. It's one of my favorite sections in Clifton. So you can see me going in there. I'm not perfect. You know, I wanted to stay more to the outside, but at the same time I'm worried about oncoming traffic and not always 100% precise with where I put the bike. Like, going in a little too much maybe. This is why I love GoPros though. This is why I love recording. I can look at this and say, you know, I was riding today and I think I could have done a better job. Where's all this going? Why am I even talking about this, right? Being a better rider, being a more competent rider, heck, being a better person, being a more competent person at anything. What's the point of actually caring about your riding? What's the point of doubting yourself? Or doubting the intentions of others that you see. You know, taking it easy around these turns instead of attacking them. Just rolling down the road like a vehicle instead of popping wheelies. You know, all these other things. Well, it's for the benefit of other people. That's the answer that I have. You're trying to make the lives of those around you easier by not doing these things. As strange as it might sound, when you ride a motorcycle in America, you are taking what I believe is an unnecessary risk. If you can afford to ride a motorcycle around these roads that I'm riding on, you can afford to drive a car. Okay? It's just that simple of a factor. Now, I'm not talking about maybe riding like a 50cc scooter. I'm talking about, you know, a motorcycle. You can get a decent car for $2,000. It's not the easiest thing in the world, but you can do it if you try. It's the same thing with a bike. You can find a pretty darn good motorcycle for $2,000 if you try it. This video is almost over. And what I'm trying to get at is when you ride a bike, you are making those around you worry about the unnecessary risk that you are taking. The people that love you, which I'm sure there are people that love you, the people that love you don't want you to die on a motorcycle. So you should do your best to be safe and competent, just to reduce the chances of your death. That's it. You know, have a Merry Christmas. This is a funny recording. I don't know if I'm going to post this. We'll see. Have a Merry Christmas, everybody. I really mean it. And a Happy New Year. And think about your riding.